So I'm just going to talk to you briefly from another place, not the human place, because we know that we come here to incarnate here as human beings, or how it is to be a human being. But actually, we're not human beings. We're like these, cosmic consciousness beings. And so I just want to give you an example of how, because now I'm speaking to you as a human being. How are you? How are you doing? Blah, 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 being very human here. Well, let's just put that aside for the moment. I'm going to speak to you, hopefully as, I don't know, as a conscious being. What about heat? What about heat? Yo, yo, heat, yeah, yeah, heat. Obey, heat, obey, heat. What about in your heat? Satan outrock in your heat. Obey. Okay, so that's how I would talk to you, if I wasn't being human. But today I'm going to discuss something that just kind of for fun. I was looking at, things are going around in my consciousness. I was thinking about Christ saying things and how people are. So I just want to put it all together and kind of discuss a few things, which is that man, because you look at the succession of the prophets, when you see there was Abraham, and there was Moses, and there was Christ, and there was Muhammad, each coming in at times when there was a bit of terror on their life was difficult. I mean, maybe not on the surface completely, but even on the surface, I mean, people had run amok and were just having a really hard time. And then, according to what I've heard from good sources, that's when the Almighty says, full-fledged messenger of the earth, of God to the earth. And these people are, of course, because God is perfect. I mean, they are perfectly suited to carry out their mission. They're perfect for that time and that situation and everything else. And and they each have their own natures, but they're basically, as I say, suited for the time. So, man, we say that man is. We often say, well, man is lost and he's confused and so forth and so on. And but what does it mean? Because, to a lay person, say, lost, what are you talking about? I do my job, I feel fine, I'm not lost. I mean, what do you mean lost? Why do you say these things to me, lost? Well, it refers back to the time of Adam and Eve and the story in paradise, where they went off from just walking with God and having God guide them in this world, having a really nice inner. They were connected. There's a direct connection between them and God, and God was showing them how to live. And of course, on reflection, we can understand. If you've been instructed by the Almighty yourself, you know that. And you can see it in near-death experiences. It comes back to the thing. The idea isn't to come here and do a bunch of bad things. The idea is to come here and live in such a way. You have a very venturesome life. You go through all kinds of things and you learn from it. But you don't do it by harming and disturbing and upsetting other people and doing bad things and causing destruction. Because if you're connected with God, and your soul is stronger than you are, which it should be, then you will be stopped from doing those things. You won't be able to do them, and you'll feel like, and you'll be guided, and you'll want to do things just naturally, not because you think, oh, I should be good, but just naturally you feel like, well, yeah, let's help so and so. I mean, that's not good. Let's help them out. And you also have things in you which some of you may have and some of you may not have. Which you just have automatically have a feeling of love for mankind. You just love people and just automatically meet them. Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. What's going on in your life? And all that sort of thing. So that's when we say lost, we mean they're lost from that context. So because they've been lost, and they've lost that through a bunch of errant behavior back there, way back when. We don't know exactly when, but somewhere along the line there. I've heard it took a few generations, but man kind of got anxious and got this and got that, and kind of stepped away from the guidance of God. Said he would try to figure. Then he got kind of lost, and he figured, well, he just, or he either chose to or had to then try to find his own way. And that's when we talk about the self, yourself. You say, well, geez, I don't know, what should I do, and blah 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 blah. And you try to figure it out for yourself. And if you've had any experience in life, you find out, what you find out is that yourself can be quite intelligent, and you can have a good self, and you can be a lot of times you can call it, or at least you call something that works. You can figure out a life, and you can have a pretty good life. But then sometimes in that life, when yourself is, this is experience I've had several times where I just felt really quite good about doing something. I felt, full-heartedly that it was the right thing to do, and but then when I did it, it didn't turn out good. And why would that be the case? Because of course yourself has a limited awareness. It has a limited understanding, and so forth and so on. So it can't always. You can look at it like a little child. The child is very sure this would be good, Mom, let's do this. But Mom knows, well, actually, no, it wouldn't be good because, most of the time you do that sort of thing, why it causes harm, and or we don't have anywhere near the money to do that thing, So that's what I say, Dad knows, So there's that self thing, and you can read about it in the Bible where Christ mentions to somebody, I don't want to misquote him, but as I recall, something effective, he was telling one of his disciples, I think, well, most of those people, because they're lost. I don't know what they said. They follow the way of their self. So, coming back to the condition of man. So man, then, he can have kind of a small opinion of himself. And then because of his own thing that happened to him when in his DNA and his gene lines, because we all descend from the original being. Actually, there were, I think, several of them all at the same time. Black Adam, red Adam, yellow Adam, white Adam, brown Adam, different races. But we have those errors in us, and of course our ancestors, having made one mistake, make another, and so this isn't very long at all before they're whistling a pretty funny tune, and it's not right, but it's not the truth. Anyway, so they go along like that, and so then at the point where we are, one of the things that people can say, because they don't have the they don't have the experience, or they probably do have the experience, but they didn't recognize it. So they feel like, well, I don't know, God, I don't know, where is it? And I don't see it, and I'm not not feeling much. So if there is a God, I don't say there's not a God. I'm not stupid. I don't make big remarks. What do I know? But I mean, if there is a God, it seems like he's far away, and it's really hard to reach him. And you know, some religions have gotten onto that thing. You're too impure to get close. You know, and so you have to go to the priest or somebody else has to. You know, there's all that kind of stuff. So man, you know, he's kind of got himself in a sort of not very much self-esteem when it comes to this kind of thing. He doesn't think that, which is the actual fact, is that God is right there, right close to you. But you yourself can be far away. And if you're far away from God, it's so far you can't even imagine how far it is. That's why those people aren't easily persuaded. But if God is close to you, is closer to you than your own, closer to you than you are, closer to you than your own thinking. Okay, so the point is, what is the point? The point is that, so he feels, well, you know, sure, it's a time of terror now, but you know, I mean, so because of those, he says, well, God was here a long time ago in a place far away. I don't even hardly understand, the Mideast or something. God, Palestine. But you know, he studies that. And he says, well, that's the last time God was here. If he's a Muslim, you know, it's the same kind of thing. The Jews, they study what Abraham and Moses did. So they can't think that God, even though it's a terrifying time. As a human being, there is terror to be had here. You know, there's a lot of things going on. They're just kind of vaguely terrifying. I mean, wow. You know? And then, not only that, because we have the internet and everything else, you get to learn about all these terrifying things that happen here, there, and sometimes nearby. So, what we're talking about here is why? So then, why didn't the Almighty send a messenger to us? Or where is the messenger now? We need a messenger. Well, he did send a messenger, but he didn't send a messenger with a religion. With a bunch of things to say to man, because all these things have already been said to man. Man has already gotten a really good advice, but because of his condition and everything, he can't follow. He finds it very difficult to follow, or if he follows it from some wrong source or something in some wrong way. I'm sure you've met some passionate religious people who are pretty obnoxious and don't really seem to be that kind and loving and open-minded and, you know, cool. So there's that. So this time he just sent a direct contact. It's a direct contact with the power of God. It's very easy to get that contact and then start paying attention to it. You know, which is the basic thing, because fundamentally, you could say, for one reason or another, what happened to Adam and Eve, particularly Eve, and then Adam went along with it, I've heard. I don't know. Well, how would I know that? I'm not going to try and receive about it either. But, you know, they weren't paying attention. So once you get the contact again, don't make the same mistake twice. Just pay attention to it in an ordinary way, moderate way, and you'll be good. So speaking of a contact with the power of God, and this is the main reason I'm making this talk, is that the contact, light keeps going off for some reason on the screen. The contact, we say with the power of God, but then if you remember, I was just looking it up so I know the verse. I don't usually know the verse. I think it's John 14:6. The translation I have is the Peshitta translation, where Christ says, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No man comes to my Father except by me. By me, okay? Because that was my original point I was chattering around. I thought it said through me. I wonder if some of the other translations are like that. I wish I could stop it. Anyways, so I mean, so you think, well, I mean, what does it mean? I mean, to a layman, what does it mean, this remark, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father except by me. So does that mean, I mean, the layman says, well, what, what does it mean, I am the way? I mean, it's kind of obfuscating right off the bat. What are you talking about? No, the way to go back to God is to follow your inner, inspired by God within you. But outwardly, let's just talk about it some more. So we know that Christ, somebody said, I am, that's the thing for God, I am. And there's some very cool discussions about that. Yeah, I am. What's my name? I am. There's no name there. God is. And so the way, so because it makes you think. This is my joke. I mean, so you say, well, suppose you're on another path, because it says there are many paths to God. Many ways to God. And the guy that brought us the contact with God, he said, well, because God will instruct you within your own being. And just like Christ was saying here, he's going like, well, God is within me. God is right here. I'm talking from my Father. So I'm spacing out now. So God is so in the many ways that there are. So you might think, that was it. So you might think, well, gosh, what was on my way to God? But then there was Christ. Because I thought it said through me, I suppose you're going, well, wait a minute. Maybe I can just kind of skirt around it and go to God. I don't have to go through him or by him. But by him it makes more sense, because of course Christ is pretty clearly, Christ is close to God. Any common sense person knows right away. That's pretty clear. And so if you were going to go back to God, why then there would be Christ, and so forth. Is that all I had to say? Well, it could be. So I just wanted to say, okay, so there has been a new gift, and because we all have our own nature, and we all have our own difficulties. We have our ancestral strengths. Ancestors have good things and bad things. So one of them, they understand perfectly well some whole bit about life, or they have some skill or whatever. I don't get into material things. They have some understanding of some kind. They have some virtue, and they have some good character. And another group has another whole thing. Maybe it's also along with, but in a different way. So everybody has, let's see, am I making sense? Everybody has their own nature, separate from all of that. And that nature is, and God knows He created your nature. That's the way I understand it. That makes sense to me. So He wants you to be in your own nature and who you are in your own nature, and He instructs you through your own nature. So like for instance, just talking about simple things. So like suppose, it's time for me to have a good. So I think, well, I think I'll go and visit my friend so and so. Then when I go and visit my friend so and so, I have a pretty good time because of certain things in my nature and their nature and everything else. But for you to go and visit my friend so and so would be like a big bust because of your nature and their nature. You don't really see eye to eye, or you don't really feel the same way about certain things, and you find them this or that, or they don't particularly warm up to you, and so you wouldn't even go and see them, and you shouldn't. I mean, you should have your own friend, which your friend. Oh, that's nice you have your friend and everything, but I don't want to visit your friend mostly because although I like you. And I might like your friend in some other way, but I don't, I like you, but your friend kind of, okay, fine, that's good. Bob said this, that's good. Janet said this. So you each have your own way, so that's the thing, because following all this advice, which you can't do, so the reason you can't do it, why man can't follow the advice, tries to. And I'm sure every now and then he's able to do it. Not very much. And so the thing is, because he's so messed up inside. What do I mean by that? I mean that, man today, his mind is often in charge of him. If my mind was in charge of me, I would be talking like, well, I don't think it's really important to talk about these things right now because we all know that blah, blah, blah. If my heart was in charge of me, I'd be talking, my God, you've got to worship God. You have to understand there's a God, It's kind of scary stuff. Or if my passions were in charge of me, then I would have to. The first thing you have to understand is this. God is blah, blah, blah. So I'd be talking like that. Now suppose that my soul was in charge of me. Let's stretch a little bit here. That my soul is in charge of me. Well, the first thing you need to realize is that after you die, you're going to have to be going off to some other place, and you need to have grown and made some kind of progress before you go there. But now, so that's my soul talking. But but I myself, I mean, I'm an amalgamation of all these things. But there's somebody in charge. So what if God? Let's say, okay, God is in charge. Well, then I would talk like I'm talking now, because God is in charge. God is number one. God's the one you want to go there first. Let God into your life, and then you're good. It's an interesting thing too that if you actually are able to, through this contact, when you're actually in the condition of worshiping God in that state, which is kind of like, it would be like if I was worshiping God right now, what would that be? If I was letting myself go and doing that, it'd be like, in that state of worship, guess what? I don't have any problems. I don't have any concerns. Everything's good. Because with God, everything is good. So, of course, it's a lot of fun to be able to do that, and we do it half an hour twice a week. Because that's funny. I mean, just having getting that coming into contact with God, completely and directly, fully, is enough for a human being. That'll get you going in a bunch of things. And if you do it too much by then, first thing you know, there's nothing left of the rest of you. You're just consumed by that or something. I don't know. It's no good. People have tried it and it doesn't work. But half an hour twice a week, why, yeah, then you're kind of good to go. So I just wanted to share those things. I am the way, the truth, and the light. Kind of a mystifying remark. You could think, I am, that's God talking. I am. And then God talks the way, the truth, and the life. That's all true. And then maybe we hear Christ coming back in and saying, I'm looking at it outwardly, so it's got error in it. Christ coming back in outwardly and saying, nobody, it's a little embarrassing. Nobody comes to God except by me. It's very easy to misalign that. What was it really? That's I am, it is God. The way is coming from just the general consciousness. The truth and the life. We're speaking essences. And then here comes Christ. No man cometh unto the Father except by me. A fervent messenger surrendered to God. He must have been moved to point that out. It's kind of like pretty scary stuff. I mean, it's like, whoa, really? Wow. Nobody gets in here without this. I don't know what it means. What does it mean? I'm going to be there. You'll see. And of course he will be. And he often is. And NDE is almost every other one that said, oh yeah, there was Christ. I had a great time talking to Christ. What a great sense of humor he had. He really loved me. He really, really loved me. And, so yeah, a lot of truth there. Not easy to understand just right off the bat. That's not important. If you read something, if you have a connection with so if you read something in one of these books and you don't understand it, that's okay. Don't try to understand it with your mind. Don't spend a lot of time on it, because as you go through that book, whatever you read, the Muslims do this. They read the Quran out loud. They don't stop to think about it. If you do that, every year while they're fasting, and getting a cleaner state and more calmed down, their mind is weakened because of the fasting, so their mind kind of stops interfering with everything they're doing, and so do their passions and their heart, and so they're more clear. So it's a good time for them. Anyway, they read the Quran out loud. I think it's one surah, 30 pages or something of the Quran every night. And if you do that, you'll find that there are passages in that Quran that you understand perfectly well. And you also find, just as an aside, that there's good stuff, kind of goes good stuff, and everything's love, and everything. Then there's a lot of trouble and all these things. He warns about all kinds of trouble, and it's good. It keeps going. It just seems to go up and down, up toward the light, and then all this stuff that's going on, and not what to do about it, one thing and another. As Subi said, I won't go there. Okay. So, what was I saying? This is fun. I enjoyed talking to you. I hope you're good. I hope you're having fun with this and get something out of it. Oh yeah, so you understand all these things. Some things you don't understand, don't don't try to think about it. Don't think about God. Why? Because your mind is not meant to think about God. Its primary purpose, maybe a little bit, but its primary purpose is to deal with, like, look at this boxes behind me, cardboard. Let's see, yeah, I know my mind is telling me, oh yeah, I know this kind of cardboard, I know where they came from, I know they're going to the dump pretty soon, I know we're going to put in a rug there, and I'm getting this new house, it's new for me. It was actually built in 1975, but they did a good job, and they remodeled it, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, my mind's very good at it, and I don't feel any pain or any kind of thing, because I'm dealing with limited things that I know enough about it. I'm going, oh my God, what is that? I can't recognize it. It's a strange thing. Maybe it's a devil, your mind works great, doesn't it? It's marvelous how it can analyze in the kind of limited realm. But when you try to think about God with your mind, it's like nothing is there. You can't think about it. I don't know. I don't know. If you're honest, be honest within yourself when you do something. If you try to think about God, let's say you're not possessed by your mind, you just, I don't know anything about it. That's right, it doesn't. Your mind doesn't know anything about it. What if you use your heart to feel about God? You're really on, God must be like me. I must be like God. I love God. It's what are we doing here? These instruments are not suited. Imagine that you're a carpenter and you have on the table before you a saw, electric battery, crown staple gun, and a circular saw, and all these neat tools you can use. What's that one? Sawzall. No, the little thing that goes along. It's a different kind of saw. Screwdrivers and hammers and everything else. Are you going to do a specific job? Well, if you understand and you have experience with things, and you experience, oh yeah, you shouldn't even think about it. Oops. You go, okay, so this, and those are the tools you use. But if you don't have any experience, say, well, I think the staple gun would probably work doing that. No, the staple gun is not needed here. It doesn't work there. Neither does the hammer. So you're going to put a dowel into a joint or something. So in your ignorance, you go along, you try to use the staple gun and the hammer, and somebody comes along and they go, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. Here, let me show you what he uses. Oh, I see. That's me, because this is me telling you, don't use your mind to think about God. Try to figure out God. The right tool for your mind, for your mind, for your mind. I don't know, what am I saying? Now I'm getting unconscious. The right tool for your mind is, follow your inner feeling. So if you follow your inner feeling, now your inner feeling, where does it come from? It doesn't come from space and time, does it? It's an infinite thing. It's there in your consciousness. You can feel it. It kind of ends up being located around somewhere around where your liver is, in your awareness, down there. As we say, your gut. What's my gut feeling? Somebody told me the other day, some kid, I was talking about was his wife, and he said, oh yeah, my gut feeling, well, I follow my gut feeling, and so so if I'm hungry, I go and I eat. That was his gut feeling. Funny kid. So you follow your inner feeling. Now, there's two kinds of inner feelings. There's your inner feeling. So let's take that inner feeling and, just look around. There it is. It's right there. It's there. You can find it. Let's say you take your inner feeling and you say, okay, now you have your big question because you're so out of it. No. When you have your questions, let's say in heaven there are no questions. How about you? You have, so you have questions. So your question is, you're questioning about God. So you look at your inner feeling. What does your inner feeling say? Allah. It worships God. Allah. This doesn't answer you directly, personally. Does that? It bears witness. It gives you the answer. You have to figure it out. You have to see it yourself. Oh yeah, what does it do? It's submitting to God. It's going back to God. Now, but let's put another condition on that inner feeling. Let's be resist in the sense of the soul. Let's say that was good. That's all you need. You can also resist as young children do. That's how they find out what's the truth and resist something. Okay. All right. Do you want the candy, Bobby? No, thank you. Okay, I'll take it. See? Did they give in to their appetite? No, they give in to their inner feeling. They said, yeah, have some candy. Enjoy life. Have some fun. My daughter, I remember one time we were in Miriam, we were in a store, and a woman, we were talking a vitamin store decades ago, and she was saying, the woman said, because my daughter was, you couldn't see her over the counter hardly, she was so small. Asked her, did she want some candy? No, she didn't want any candy. And then while we were talking, all of a sudden a little hand comes up over the counter. She changed. She got another direction. Sure, have some candy. It's all right. She didn't want it because why? She was afraid of. I don't know. She probably was a little bit intimidated by the woman. Okay, so let's do that. Let's resist a little bit and say, okay, so where is God? Let's ask, kind of a general, unformulated. I won't formulate. We're wondering about God. So, you can go to your inner feeling. You can resist a bit, just a bit. God is. There it comes. It just is. And you understand that when you say it. Try it. Try it yourself. If you pay attention, you'll see, okay, God is. It makes sense in the infinite realm of things. There's no question to be asked. There's no worry about it. Well, I mean... but as soon as you get your mind involved, the mind is not infinite. You know this because, it likes to think it is. It has a concept of infinite. But it's just a concept. It still doesn't understand it. It's like using words you don't know what they mean. So you shouldn't use them, Sufi said. So just for example, I used to struggle with this when I was a kid. I didn't know what to do about it. I just stopped drinking because it would drive me nuts. They say, okay, wow, the universe, well, they discovered all these people that run around looking at things far away. I say, okay, the universe is they used to like to say it was infinite, kind of on and on forever. And so you go to yourself in your mind, you think your mind, yeah, but I mean, what's on the other side when it stops being infinite? What's there? You cannot legitimately and honestly conceive in your mind as something that's infinite. But for your inner feeling, it's like, sure, yeah, it goes on, and there's no problem with it. It goes on, it's fine. Lots of fun to be had when God is kind of instructing you. And it's interesting because people with near-death experiences, I won't go there, this is too long. Okay. So we're just going to stop, right? Just wanted to chat with you for a minute and kind of talk about things. Okay, love you. Have a good life and stuff. And I mean, hopefully I'll see you before you. But I mean.